Fauci lied, millions died. It has become a meme on this channel. I'm tired of making new thumbnails that say Fauci lied, millions died. I'm going to use an old one, so forgive me for not making a new thumbnail today, but I mean, I can't. It's an old story, yet somehow it's new again, because, you know, every few weeks or every couple of months or so, we hear more of the truth come out. We find out even more about how Fauci lied as millions of people continue to die. And so what is it this time? Where have we moved the goalpost to? Because as we all know, the goalposts keep shifting. I'm so old, I remember when the goalposts were so far out that there was no human-to-human spread of the virus, and it was a conspiracy theory to say that the virus was going to be spreading amongst humans, and even more so after that, then it was, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, or it's crazy to think that this virus is going to spread from China to the US, and that, you know, you should be worried about people coming back and forth from China. And then it became, it's just the flu, bro. And then it became, it's smallpox, bro. After that, it's funny how quickly they went from it's just the flu, bro, to it's smallpox, bro, and nobody's allowed to ever go outside again for the rest of their lives. And very quickly, early on, you know, we had suspicions back in January and February of 2020. Those of us who were some of the earliest people talking about what would become the global pandemic here on the interwebs. People like me, Mr. Mediocre, Chris Martenson of Peak Prosperity. We were saying, so this outbreak seems to have originated in this place called Wuhan. Awfully strange. There seems to be, just down the road from where they said this occurred at a wet market, there's this level 3 biolab. I wonder, maybe there's some connection there. And for a very, very long time, that was a crazy conspiracy theory that could get you booted off of YouTube. And so we had to be kind of coy in talking about it. Now, because Jon Stewart brought it up on Colbert, you know, it's become mainstream. So I guess, you know, somewhat thanks to Jon Stewart. Now we're allowed to talk about the lab leak, but, you know, Fauci, he still very much doesn't like that, because once you start looking into the lab itself, it became clear, oh, wait, the research they were doing at this lab, it's not like it was, you know, just secret experiments being done by the, what do they call it, the People's Army? What is I forget the acronym for the Chinese army. The PLA, People's Liberation Army. It's not just the PLA in there doing a bunch of crazy, you know, animal experiments. We also have scientists in there who are funded by the United States, who are outsourcing their super secret experiments to China because, as we all now know, during the Obama administration, gain-of-function research was banned in the United States, and you know, Dr. Fauci was not happy about that at the time. He testified before Congress saying, this is very important research. You can't get rid of it. We must be doing this. It's imperative. We have to make super viruses that could destroy mankind. We need them as a deterrent. Okay, he didn't say that last part, but you get the basic gist of it. And as a part of this, Fauci was also prohibited from funding gain-of-function research. And so therefore, he's had to defend that line pretty steadfastly. Ever since, even though all this has come out and the lab leak theory has become normalized, Fauci still has to deny that he ever funded gain-of-function research because he's not allowed to do that legally. So he's had to, you know, finagle and create a definition of gain-of-function research that, you know, just excludes the gain-of-function research that was going on in Wuhan. He defined himself into compliance. He defined, you know, the law out of existence. But now the NIH is finally changing its tune. At long last, the National Institute of Health, which I believe is where Fauci is in charge of, has released a statement to some congressman on the Oversight Committee, I think, House Oversight Committee, saying that, well, yeah, we were funding this research from EcoHealth that was experimenting with viruses and making them more deadly, but we wouldn't really call that gain of function because it wasn't gaining enough function. And, EcoHealth was supposed to tell us as a part of the grant, hey, if this virus looks really, really potent, you need to tell us. If the replication is something like, I think they said 1 log or something like that. If it's multiplying that much or whatever, or if it's that successful, you need to let us know, and we're going to reconsider funding this because, then maybe you're pushing it too far. So they have this spectrum where they say, well, if you just improve the virus a little bit, it's not really gain of function. It's only if you improve the virus a super ton that we're going to call it gain of function. Which, at this point, there's no real denying it. They're saying, yes, we funded the research. We admit it. We funded gain of function research knowingly. It wasn't even an accident. There is no plausible deniability, because there's kind of some of that to where they used this cutout EcoHealth Alliance, which then funded Wuhan. So what it was Fauci gave money to EcoHealth, and then EcoHealth went to Wuhan and gave them some money to do gain of function research. They gave money to the bat lady. And so there was some plausible deniability. Fauci could say, well, I don't know what EcoHealth was doing. I gave them money to do God's work, or Darwin's work, or whatever you want to call it. Doing science. We needed the science, so I give people money to do the science. And then they took it, and they might have done something wrong with it, and that's their fault. That's not my fault. He didn't do that. He hasn't thrown EcoHealth under the bus. He seems content to go down with them. But the NIH now has said to, oh, no, yeah, we funded EcoHealth, but they were supposed to check in with us, and they didn't, so EcoHealth said they did something bad. But really, no matter how successful the experiments were, you're funding gain of function research from the beginning. The NIH had already done something wrong, and they know that, and so they're trying to cover that. And so what are they saying now? Oh, well, it's molecularly impossible that the virus that we were creating in Wuhan is SARS-CoV-2. That's where Fauci's moved the goalpost to. And you heard this a couple months ago when he was getting interrogated by Rand Paul, and the phrase molecularly impossible trended on Twitter for a few hours. That's as far back now as they've moved the goalposts. They've fully accepted, yes, we funded gain of function research. They're just going to say, no. You can't prove that the virus that we created was actually the virus that's going around to spread everyone. You don't have that evidence yet. That's what they're telling us. Which, if they've lied about this much so far, maybe we do a little more digging, we'll find that they're lying about this last detail too. They're hanging on to one little shred of plausible deniability in order to still maintain that they did not create the pandemic. Because they're saying, oh, no, you don't understand. This virus is only 97% similar to SARS-CoV-2. That's a 3% difference. That's as different as humans are from chimps. That's what they're saying at this point. Well, is there a possibility that perhaps, after this last bit of documentation that we saw or whatever, that maybe there's something we don't know about where they changed that other 3% and made it into what it is today? Or maybe it just evolved rapidly in a petri dish and it ended up as what it is now, and then it jumps species whenever. There's very, very, they're just hanging on by a thread here to say, to still try and claim that they didn't create this. Because what they're admitting now is we created a virus that's 97% similar, 97% identical, I should say. So it's very, very similar. There's only a 3% difference in the genome, I guess. But 97% of the genes identical to the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is what they call the Wu flu. So the question is now, how long until we find out that they're also responsible for that other 3%? What is the missing link? Because that's what we're looking for here. We are looking for the evolutionary missing link. What is the missing link between the Fauci virus created in Wuhan and the Wu flu itself? Because, they say, oh, well, they're decades apart. That's the way that's the language that the NIH used. They said the virus that we made, that you have evidence of, that you've seen, that we can confirm, that we're willing to admit at this point that we created, that virus is in an evolutionary sense decades apart from the Wu flu. What they're not saying is that, well, yeah, decades in nature, but this virus was not in nature. This virus was in a lab. So who's to say that those decades were not sped up artificially by more gain-of-function research, in addition to what we know about? I mean, it's sad that none of this is going to make it on TV, because this is a really nuanced and complicated subject. But the bottom line is, we've almost won in terms of the facts here. We've almost gotten them to admit it. And so it's only a matter of time before the rest comes out. What are the odds that just a few 100 feet away at a wet market, we happen to have a virus emerge that is 97% similar to this virus that old Dr. Fauci created? It seems pretty suspicious to me. Even without mentioning that, the actual Wu flu virus that we all know and love today, in the opinion of independent scientists, who don't work for Fauci, they've said, there's some bits on here, like the spike protein, that just look artificial. Like they're just the way that it latches onto the ACE2 receptor just seems like that was intelligently designed, because there's no real precedent for that in nature. And I don't want to go into too much detail, because I'm not I'm not an expert on that on that part of it, on the actual genetics. But there's a lot of things that don't add up here, that all of a sudden start to make a lot more sense when you find out that we know now that this lab right next to the wet market created a virus that is at least 97% identical to the Wu flu. And so I think that in the near future, within a few months, a couple months, let's say, maybe by the end of the year, certainly before the midterm elections, we will have confirmation that, and this is a prediction, I'm not saying this is fact, YouTube, so don't take me down. I think that we will have confirmation from official sources that the National Institute of Health in the United States funded the research which led to the emergence of the global pandemic. And so, in short, to sum things up, Fauci lied, millions died.